What the heck is Battle for Dream Island? No, seriously, what the heck is Battle for Dream Island? Starting out as nothing more than a fun school project to now becoming a mega web series with literally billions of views with a capital B, merchandise, to even playing a episode early in friggin' movie theaters. Yes, that did actually happen. Battle for Dream Island has to be one of, if not the strangest indie animated series I've seen in a long time. Heck, maybe even of all time. Plus, it's one that you guys have non-stop been asking me to cover, not only for how weird it is, but for the genuinely fascinating history behind it all. So today I thought, screw it, I'll give it a look. And so, after watching a few episodes for myself, dear God, what have I done? Hey guys, it's the Pink King here. Now, as many of you probably know, I am an absolute sucker for indie animation. Whether it be popular projects or smaller projects, there's something just so inherently fascinating about indie animation that keeps dragging me back to it. However, there's been one indie series that has managed to escape me over the past few years now, with Battle for Dream Island. However, now after witnessing this supposed greatness for myself, I'm even more bewildered than I was going into it. Living numbers, inanimate objects fighting each other, lore! What is BFDI? What does it mean? And what does it want, goddammit? Safe to say, this series is beyond bizarre, so much so that when doing research for this video, I came to find out that it doesn't even have an official Wikipedia page, which only fascinates me more because despite having literally billions of views across all platforms, it still doesn't have an official Wikipedia page. It makes no sense. And yet, I'm more intrigued than ever. Because not only is this thing popular, but it also has an insane history. So, where do I even begin? Well, let's start with the origins of this series. Created in 2010 by Carey and Michael Hong, aka Jack and Jellyfy, BDFI initially started out as only a few characters created for their certain comics, until eventually officially becoming a series in January of 2010. And it was from that day onwards that Battle for Dream Island was not only a success, but probably the biggest crowning achievement for Jack and Jellyfy, with it not only boosting their channel into absolute stardom, but also being the thing to popularize object shows on YouTube. What is an object show, you ask? Well, it's apparently a series that will center around anthropomorphized object characters. However, in this case of Battle for Dream Island, it did this idea with a twist, as the style of the show earlier on being a sort of total drama island inspired format, with it starting out as 20 objects competing against each other in order to win the Dream Island itself. And as season 1 went along, teams are formed, characters die, and the voice acting is so 2010s that you can't help but love it.
Calm down. Kicking Woody could...
As the first season went along, each episode would present a new challenge, with the host of the show, simply called the announcer, who is some kind of living speaker because why not, presents the challenge and is the one to start the competitions. Now, admittedly, I do have to say, I am probably not the best person to be explaining the deep and complex lore this series has, as I've only seen a few episodes and not the whole thing. Because when I say this thing goes deep, I mean it goes deep. As this series has been going on for 15 years now, that's a decade and a half plus counting. With multiple seasons, spin-offs, it is both really intimidating and yet strangely charming. As I soon would discover, this is not a series that you can just easily dive right into. No, this thing has a lot going on all the time, so much so that it can be rather tough to keep up unless you're already in the know. So if you're someone like me who's never seen this series before, I recommend you take it slow and gradually build up as you go along in order to see whether or not this series is for you, because honestly, that was probably the best way for me to go about watching this series. And so with that out of the way, is Battle for Dream Island actually good? Is it worth the hype or is it not? Well, in my humble YouTuber-sized opinion, it's not for everyone. If I had to put it in a few words, I'd say that BFDI is for a very specific type of audience, but it caters to that audience brilliantly. After all you have to do is look at the first episode and their latest episode together to see the dramatic improvements and innovations the team behind this series have made in the decades it's been going on. This just reeks of being a passion project through and through, and in a way, that's sort of its own gift. Watching them take what was once a simplistic show and slowly build upon it by adding tons of twists and turns along the way just for the sake of wanting to tell a unique story to them is something really wholesome. The animation especially, knowing that this was made in the early 2010s by just two people with no professional experience, is really inspiring, as something like this should have been simply too much for two young, inexperienced artists to handle. And trust me, I know that as someone who's making an indie show, coming soon by the way. But this is just one of the many reasons why I love this indie space so much, because it's only here where you'll see miracles happen as people defy the odds, prove their worth by simply expressing themselves and the crazy stories that they want to tell. And it's that way of thinking that has allowed independent animation to become so diverse and truly ginormous. Is it strange? Yes. But is it fun? Absolutely. Even though I personally struggle to get into BFDI, I could definitely see why someone else might absolutely love it. It's just for me a bit too much. But hey, maybe that will change with more episodes and seasons I watch of it. So think of this video less as an in-depth review on the series itself, but more so an acknowledgement to the more bizarre and yet integral parts of the indie space on YouTube. Because it's stuff like this that truly deserves so much more attention. Like the fact it was able to get a partnership with AMC to show one of the episodes in theaters, even for a day, is beyond insane, and opens the door to far more interesting and exciting possibilities in the future for indie animation, and I for one am all here for it. Even if it's something I don't truly understand, I feel like there's always something worth saying and even appreciating with gems like Battle for Dream Island. But here is where I turn it to you peeps. What do you think of Battle for Dream Island? Are you one of the die-hard fans of the series who never miss an episode, or are you one of the few people who are new to the series like I am? Let me know your experiences down in the comments below. And also, if you enjoyed this video and want to see me cover more indie content just like BFDI, then be sure to subscribe and hype this video as well. It does way more than you think, and it allows me to make more of this type of content for you all. But with that peeps, it's been the Pink King here, and I will see you all next time.